is a liar.
Yeah, Devil is a Liar. This is actually my favorite track off the album. And if there's any doubt that this album rocks, this song will take away all your doubt. Devil is a Liar is one of the rockinest songs that I've ever heard from a band that isn't really considered to be hard rock.
And looking so mean, he got the act down cold, just like James Dean.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why this is such a unique album.
This made, in fact, if you go get Christian metal compilations, you might find this song on there.
Right. Yeah, because it's that hard. Another thing I would say about this track is that this is one of those tracks which again brings in a lot of. This is probably would be the one that would consider or bring most controversy to the album because of various reasons. One thing, it uses language, like I said, that most people would say, "Ooh, is that right context?" And I don't really think Bob was thinking about that. He wasn't trying to offend anybody, but it was the way he needed to say it. He needed to say it very important. And another thing is that
I think
he did name dropping in this song,
I
which
think also too
is very
the popularity
controversial.
of Stryper
Right.
was coming about, and I think this was a good idea for them to do something like that. Michael Sweet at the time was duetting with Michael W. Smith, and that was a big deal. And this album came out the same time that went on, and but yeah, Devil is a Liar is a lot of your Christian metalheads, will say, yeah, that's one of the best Christian metal songs.
And that one would be, I would consider very Zeppelin-esque, because Carlisle does his best rock vocals in that. Very drawing out the notes. A lot of breath support would have to be done to do that song. But they do something else called name dropping, which name dropping is very controversial in that you could get sued. They mentioned both Marilyn Monroe and James Dean. They mentioned Lois Lane, and these are all things that either they could get sued for copyright or from family members of these people, because, hey, what did you mean by that? What did you mean that Marilyn Monroe has hell to pay? So I mean, and people could really, get it. Of course, I love the Lois Lane reference because being a comic book geek, I understand exactly what he was talking about, and that doesn't mean that Lois Lane was a criminal or a bad person. What it meant was that Lois Lane, in finding out who Superman is, means that she has a big, huge responsibility, and therefore it may come back around and bite her, because that's why he didn't want her to know. So it's just that's like I said, that's, in my opinion, the best track off the album. Not taking away at all from any of the other tracks, but and this one too hit the charts.
And then we get into "I Want to Be Like You."
Okay.
With that, "Devil is Like I said, that.
No, you're always gonna be around. Yeah, I know. Whenever I'm in trouble, you're on the double somehow. I wanna be like you. I want you to show me everything.
Other songs you'll hear, you'll think it made me nothing special, but he really sells it to the point that where you want to be. And that's what a lot of guys like his Bob Carlisle's vocals.
Yeah.
What do you think of "Want to Be Like You"?
Oh well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's another one that relies heavily on the vocals of the band, not just Bob. because there's a lot of harmony and that sort of thing.
Yeah, basically you're getting this second track and they're
Yeah.
pulling you in really hard.
Right.
I mean, they're fixing to end the album, but they're hitting you hard. And because when you get done with "I Want to Be Like You," they're kind of a melodic or slower song is "Walk With Me Silent."
Yeah.
Never bother anyone. My wife, she leaves the lantern on the porch till I come home. She worries so about me, but in her heart she knows.
You know, this is really gets hard because I you know, like he said, he's got a favorite track. It's hard for me to pick a favorite track off this because when you get to "Walk With Me Silent," it's something that every band member would want to have done in their life, and not one person would have said, "Gee, I want to do," and not want to do something like. It's so kind of Beatle-esque. It's so. Reality. You can even throw in the 20s and 30s in there as well. Yeah. There's a vocally, but you listen to that song and again, I really related to that because I walked a lot in the evenings. Right. So my time to get away from, my shutdown from the world, and that's what this song is talking about. You can take those times. And again, it fits in with "A Long Way from Paradise." You got to have that time to get away from the world a little bit. And maybe that's what he's talking about in that song. But musically, there's been debate whether this is a real cello. I'm assuming it is. Whether it was keyboard sample. It sounds beautifully recorded. And it just, if it is just a cello and Carlisle, I can't say there's too many musicians can get away with that. Yeah. Too many vocalists can get away with that. And that's what I'm trying to say about it. Is one of the better tracks on that, and it's so relatable to me.
I'm going to go as far as to say after "Devil's a Liar," it's my favorite.
Yeah,
because,
so you get
because
two super tracks like
it
that.
spoke to me. Yeah. That's the whole. And some people may take that song. Oh, it's not hard enough, or it's not. I really don't like it. It's not fast enough.
But it's hard to believe that people not liking the track.
Well, I
remember once,
sure
if someone said, you need to hear this track, and it was "Walk With Me Silent," and immediately I was blown away.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that the only thing that has compared to me that I thought was unique was Fido by Larry Norman. It's that kind of that originality. Right. And that's what I kind of like about this album. So then there's "Rock of Salvation," and I said this sounds a lot like the Police is when I first saw it, and I think that's what Randy was going with to get that old Li sound.
I hear a whirling voice inside my mind. I feel the calm before the storm.
But I'll be honest with you though, as far goes as, I don't not like the song, but
we're cutting in time, so we might go back to "Rock of Salvation," but I'm gonna go ahead and go and "Crying in the Chapel," get that over with, because it is probably one of the most important songs that came out at this time, and it was very important to this album. And what this is, of course, a lot of people knew Elvis did the "Crying in the Chapel." It was obviously done by the Orioles as well before he did it. But there was controversy about him, Bob Carlisle, because I saw the interview with Bob Carlisle. It was from, if you look on the internet, maybe you can find it from the show they had that came from Gospel Bill, the teenage show.
Oh, you're talking about...
Fire at Night.
Fire
by Night had an interview with Bob Carlisle on "Crying in the Chapel" and what this is about. And the first thing Bob talks about, if you listen to the lyrics, it's not about a girl. No. and a lot of people, because Elvis sung it, think it's just this thing and he's crying about a girl. No, if you listen to those lyrics, And in fact, if you want to look those lyrics up and read those lyrics to people to understand what this song's talking about, it's talking about someone who is trying to find peace of mind. And let me tell you, no girlfriend's going to give you peace of mind. I mean, but this to me, I think is a very important track. Again, like he said, the two hits were there. I was surprised that this wasn't on there, Crying in the Chapel, because that's all people talked about, how good they did. And it's a shame that, no, it's not a shame, but it's surprising that people will say this is probably, I'm just going by what I read on the internet, folks. Don't hate me for this, but they have said this is the best cover of Crying in the Chapel that has ever been done. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, well,
Let's
I
talk
agree.
about
I mean,
Crying
Crying in the Chapel is, I was, I didn't realize it until the song come out that this is lyrically the same as what Elvis sang.
Yeah.
Elvis, of course, if you know anything about Elvis was a big gospel fan, and as a matter of fact, he almost became part of, I believe, the Blackwood Brothers. But he couldn't harmonize at that time. But later on, he found out, and that's what I'm saying. This is another very strong harmony vocals song.
Obviously, allies can harmonize.
And so I'm saying that this was, and I'm saying it might have been from the choosing.
Well, when you look at the lyrics, and like I say, there was a lot. He had a lot of flack. He said about this, and it's a shame because you listen to those lyrics where he say, you search, and you'll never find no greater peace of mind. And he's talking, he's at the chapel altar.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a guy who's just got his girlfriend. And it was so surprising that's what I'm trying to say. People don't understand that world, and that's the reason why I have such struggles with the Southern Gospel. My biggest critique is because they had the conventions, and certain people could be in Southern Gospel. I mean, they rejected Elvis. They've rejected a lot of good artists to be in these Southern Gospel quartets. But they were really good, but it seemed like there's such this closed door to talent. And but because of my listening Southern Gospel, it's so easy to indulge in this and find the goodness of this song.
Right. You get and I mean, to be honest, it would be something that you might expect the Imperials to do, and not the Allies to do, because like I said, it relied so heavily on the vocals, to the point that it really doesn't. Of course, then there's the Floyd Kramer-esque keyboard at the end, and that I think they even say something like "Hit It, Floyd" or something. Play on the Floyd Kramer thing, and it's just beautifully done. And so I don't know if this album is on CD.
That's what's so amazing, because you take that second tracks, the second side. Of course, you don't have to do that CD. Not one of them I don't like, but it's a shame because I'm a rocking guy.
Yeah.
And really one of the rock songs on here is my least favorite.